Hello, adventurers! My name is Chan, so welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the 25th episode of our background series. Today we have a very cool background in store for us. We're going to be talking about the Gruul Anarch. At least that's how I'm pretty sure it's pronounced, maybe Anarch? Gruul Anarch? I don't know. In any case, this is what we're talking about today. And this particular background is found in the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. And I gotta say, the spell list on it is something rather fierce. And its features also, overall, this is just a really, really strong option. Now, if you haven't checked out the playlist in its entirety, I have a little card at the end you can click on, or that little eye icon in the top corner there if you'd like to check out every background in 5e in alphabetical order. Pretty cool stuff, hopefully you'll enjoy it. That being said, let's now dive into the Gruul Anarch. The description reads as followed. The entire world of Ravnica is a sprawling metropolis, but you are a native of the wild areas that still exist. The abandoned districts, the rubblebelts, and the overgrown parks and crumbling ruins. Very cool stuff. Now, looking at its spell list, man, there's some good stuff in here. In terms of additional cantrips you have access to, you're looking at Firebolt and Produce Flame. Additional first level spells include Compelled Duel, Speak with Animals, and Thunderwave. Additional second level spells are Beast Sense and Shatter. Additional third level spells Conjure Animals and Conjure Barrage. Additional 4th level spells are Dominate Beast and Stone Skin, and the 5th level spell is Destructive Wave. Man, there are a lot of absolutely amazing spells in this list. Firebolt has incredible range for a cantrip and provides a decent amount of utility as well. Compelled Duel is arguably one of the Paladin's best spells in the game, and you get it just for... Well, I mean, yeah, you gain it to your spell list just for being you, you sly dog. This is especially amazing for the blade locks out there, so just bear that in mind. Speak with Animals and Thunderwave are also both pretty good in their own right. And you also get Shatter at 2nd level. Very, very nice. Beast Sense is alright as well. At 3rd level, Conjure Animals and Conjure Barrage. That's nuts. Both of these are, in my opinion, top tier spells. Conjure Barrage is arguably one of the best spells the Ranger has access to outright. And once again, you gain access to it just for being you, you lucky dog. Dominate Beast and Stone Skin, quite good. And Destructive Wave is pretty nuts. If memory serves, it gets you like 10d6 of damage. Very nice stuff. That being said, if you don't want to have these particular backgrounds in your game, just say you don't allow any of the Ravnica backgrounds, and that's really it. That being said, if this is allowed in your game, this is a very, very strong choice. It's not my favorite of the Guildmaster's Guide backgrounds, but it is pretty damn good nonetheless. And it has kind of a cool description. You're kind of an outsider, you prefer nature, all that good druidic stuff, right? Now let's quickly take a look at its mechanics here. Under skill proficiencies, you are now proficient in animal handling and athletics. This is one of the few backgrounds that gets athletics as a proficiency. Currently, I think the only one we've covered is athlete that gets you athletics, but you get it here too, just because you're awesome. Under tool proficiencies, you gain access to the herbalism kit, which is a great option. Under languages, you can pick between Draconic, Giant, Goblin, or Sylvan. I'd probably push you to either Draconic or Goblin. Goblin's one of my favorite languages, by the way. Especially at early levels of play, it's super awesome. And looking at the equipment, you have the Gruul Insignia, Hunting Trap, Herbalism Kit, Skull of a Boar, Beast Hide Cloak, set of Traveler's Clothes, and a pouch containing 10 gold piece. Pretty good stuff. It's actually a rather long list in comparison to most of the other backgrounds. The hunting trap is pretty interesting as well. If you're not super familiar with how the hunting trap works, essentially you can affix it to the ground, or you can attach it to an object by using a heavy metal chain, or spike or what have you. And the creature that steps onto the plate must make a DC 13 dexterity saving throw, or take 1d4 piercing damage and stop moving, so movement speed gets reduced to 0. And until it breaks free from the trap, its movement is limited by the length of the chain, or whatever it is it's attached to, and it requires a DC 13 strength check to free itself, or have another creature free you. Each fail deals 1 piercing damage to the trapped creature. If you combine this with the herbalism kit and maybe the poisoner's kit as well, it could make for a pretty damn effective tool, especially at those earlier levels of play. Outside of that, the Skull of a Boar and Beast-Hide Cloak are just kind of there for the flavor, but that hunting trap is probably the star of the equipment in my opinion. Now let's move on to its feature. This one is called Rubblebelt Refuge. You are intimately familiar with the areas of the city that most people shun. Ruined neighborhoods where worms rampage, overgrown parks that no hand has tended in decades, and the vast, sprawling rubble belts of broken terrain that civilized folk have long abandoned. You can find a suitable place for you and your allies to hide or rest in these areas. Additionally, you can find food and fresh water in these areas for yourself and up to 5 other people each day. This is really, really incredible if you reskin this to make it so any area of wilderness applies with this feature. I might make it where you have to spend like a short rest's worth of time kind of running around and becoming familiar with the area, or some ritual you perform if you're something like that. However, man, this is pretty dang good. Sadly, it kind of replaces the utility aspect of the ranger relatively quick. Finding a safe area with access to food and fresh water is pretty dang important, especially if you're planning on taking a long or even several short rests in the woods. Very interesting stuff, and I like it. Now let's move on to some suggested characteristics here. For the personality trait, I went with, unlike people, the beasts of the wild are friends who won't stab me in the back. Under ideal, anarchy. No person or law or custom can tell another what to do, and this will tick you towards the chaotic direction. And bond, I am determined that one day I will lead my clan, or a new one. And under flaw, if you question my courage, I will never back down. This is pretty cool and embodies the warrior spirit as far as I was able to do. These particular character suggestions may lead to a character that genuinely just favors his furry friends over the human ones. And to be fair, who could really blame them from time to time? I'm pretty sure we all feel that way. That being said, they might not react kindly towards any sense of authority, and they may want to always do things their own way, even if it's the less logical option. That being said, let's get to my personal feelings on the Gruul Anarch. Overall, I think it's an incredibly strong background to go with. The fact that it has athletics in its mechanics make it really helpful for those squishier casters out there. In addition to that, having that extended spell list is super nice. I really do think the class that would work best with this for the most part is the Hexblade Warlock. Being able to take advantage of that spell list. In addition, just Compelled Duel alone would be such a strong choice for them. That being said, looking at their mechanics, having some degree of stealth might be worthwhile, especially if you're planning on using the hunting trap. Having a poisoner in your party would go a long way as well with this particular background. Rubblebelt Refuge is a really strong feature to have. However, unlike a lot of these other Ravnica-themed backgrounds, This one is going to be less useful in cities and primarily focused in the wilderness, so it might be able to compensate for your party members' deficits in that regard. However, that's kind of up to party composition. Overall, I really like it. Very strong choice. There's also a lot you can do flavor-wise with it, which is pretty cool. That being said, let me know what you think of the Gruul Anarch down beneath in the comments section. Be sure to mention any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns you may have regarding it, and feel free to share any stories you have as well. And if you'd like to get access to a free one-shot, please just use code WELCOME over at the Guild Hall and you'll get yours for free. That being said, I hope you have a great day, and as always, happy adventuring, everyone.